All right, everybody, Mr. Pash here, and this is going to be our first part of a two-part series of our last perspective practice. This one's going to be what I call perspective extra, and the only reason I'm calling it that is because we're just doing some extra elements here, and I'm trying to condense it down into one assignment. The second part will be a perspective rough draft, just concentrating on variety of shape and overlap, which we didn't really get to in previous parts, but are very important here. So let's get right to it. Here's kind of an example that we want to get to. I'm just going to copy it, and you guys can copy what I'm doing. If it's finished and complete, you guys will get full credit for this part of our two-part series. And yeah, let's get right to it. Okay, so we're gonna create our vanishing point right in the middle here. Okay, and again, just a very small dot, just as long as you can see it, we're good to go. Okay, and I'm gonna start off with some unique forms here, like we see here, just like the bean shape and the L, which will help us maybe with some letter forms if we want to use it. And so I'm going to do the bean shape kind of pointing away here. Okay. Nice light lines first, a little bit bigger here. You guys can go smaller if you want. Okay. And break out your ruler. Using a mechanical pencil for this one, we're going to line up the vanishing point, and just right where it hits the edge, we want to draw a light line. Nice and clean. All right, looks pretty good. Now we decide where we want to cut this off. I'm just going to kind of go right in the middle of all my examples here. So what we want to do is we want to emulate the front edge. Okay, usually I'll say we want to go parallel to the front edge, which we usually do for straight lines, but when they're curves, we want to go curved, as curved, if not more curved. And for this one, we got to follow the curves. There's like 2 to 3 bumps here. So we want to start off here, and it's just like we're drawing the bean shape again, just a little bit smaller here. See how it gets trapped inside these guidelines. And remember, with curves, we want to flow it right into that sideline. Okay. So we want to dip where this dips right towards the center. Kind of emulate those same curves there. See that? Okay. And so then I'll darken up these side edges because I'm going to keep these. And if I wanted a complete design, I'd erase the guidelines. Okay, I'm just going to keep those in there for now. I'm not going to worry about erasing them too much. Now, now we get to an L shape. Okay, and just a little bit more complex of a form rather than a rectangle. It's like we're combining 2 rectangles together. Okay. Now for these forms, you want to look at the corners, and we want to line up each corner to the vanishing point. So sometimes, a lot of times, people, when they do their final design, they do these really complex letters like K's and R's, and stars, even like stars with like 6 points to it. That's a lot of lines you have to draw. Okay. And then, oh, see the angle of this. I just want to show you guys this. See, this one, we kind of see the top because the top's tilted more. Ooh, this one we barely see, if anything. But let's see what happens here. Barely. Okay, so that tells you that the angle of these things is really going to show different aspects of the 3D form. So sometimes if you draw something and you're like, you know what, that looks kind of weird, you might want to resketch it and draw it at a different angle, and you'll get a whole different perspective of it. Okay. No pun intended when we're talking about perspective, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about perspective. Okay, so let's cut this off right about here. So just think about each side, okay, in between 2 lines. And so we want to go parallel here. And let's just say we want to cut it off about this deep, okay? You can use your ruler for support if you want. Okay. Now in between these two lines, okay, we look at this edge. We go parallel to that. And so again, we're just kind of copying what is in the front edge. We're exactly copying, not kind of. I always say kind of, if you guys have noticed. But yeah, and it's just going to be smaller because as it recedes, it gets smaller into the distance. But okay, and this one is barely going to see anything, so people are going to tend to just draw a line this way. This is just pretty much going to flow right into that top line. Really weird, really kind of confusing there. Okay, I'm going to leave that line. We'll darken up our lines when we're complete. You can go back over it with a ruler if you want. We'll keep those guidelines light. All right, that's an example of a complex, simply complex forms. You can get really more complex than that, but once you understand the principles of these curves and the straight geometric lines, I think you can kind of figure out the pieces of the puzzle if you do something different, like a star. All right, so let's do a segmented one here, and what we're going to do is we're going to a corner, do a circle, and then we'll do a rectangle for these, and line up the edges all the way. And feel free to do ovals. Ovals actually look better than circles, so if you can't draw a great circle, you know, focus on awesome ovals. Okay, and so we're going to follow our traditional rule of, let's say we're cutting this off and we want it yay deep, and I'll put this example here. Okay, so let's say we want it about here. Okay, now normally we would just erase the rest of the lines and say, hey, we got a cylinder, we got the front and we got the back edge. Well, with the segmented one, we continue to use those guidelines, and so all we need to do is just add another front edge, and sometimes it looks good when we overlap. So I'm going to do another circle here. This is going to be like a new face. I like to go all the way around even though I overlap, and then when I got it, I'll darken it, and when it overlaps here, I'll keep it light or erase it so it looks like it goes behind. And then I decide how long I want this cylinder. So I already have the front edge, and let's say I'll make this one a little bit longer here. And I got two cylinders, and I'm already adding some depth. I already got some great way to create overlap here naturally. And then I erase like where these guys connect, and also detach from the vanishing point. Okay, and that way you guys can use it using one straight perspective line here. We can do the same thing with rectangles. I always think they look good in the corner here. When they're perpendicular, like straight on to the vanishing point, they don't look as good. So I'm gonna quickly align this to the vanishing point, each corner. Okay, and just like we would, I'll put this one here. Just like we would with just creating one form, we're going to draw a line parallel in between these two lines, parallel to the front. In between these two lines, we go parallel to this one, straight down. Darken up the lines when we're finished. All right, and now we can use this one here. And let's say we do one way back here, okay? So we gotta start off with a new rectangle. It's gonna fit right in here. Parallel, parallel. Now we don't have these other guidelines for help, but I think maybe we can imagine it, you know, parallel to this, then parallel to that. Pretty much just straight across, up and down. And then we figure out, okay, now we got new sidelines here. We figure out how long we want it. Let's go all the way back here. Parallel for the back edge. Parallel straight down for that back edge. There we go. We got some open space here. Maybe we add, you know, if we're doing some overlap, we can add a different form in between, which looks really cool. But I'm gonna add one just like this right behind it so you guys can see what that looks like. Let's say we're really close. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a new face. Parallel, parallel. And then when it gets behind here, we're not really gonna see it anymore. Okay, so it'll go parallel to this, like this front edge here. And then this one goes straight down. Okay, sometimes a lot of people forget about this front edge first thing. Now you gotta imagine how long you want it to be. So use these side edges that we already have for our perspective lines. We'll darken them up. And then wherever you want to cut off, draw that parallel back edge. Looks pretty cool, right? And then when you would be all finished, you erase, the connecting lines. Pretty cool, looking pretty good. Okay, now some other concepts here. We're gonna try hollow with volume going through it in 2 aspects. And then we'll think about hollow too. We've only done hollow for the front part. Let's think about doing hollow from what we would call maybe the bottom, or if this was drawn differently, the side. So what would that look like? Because that could give us some cool open 3D space to play around with. All right, so let's first start off with this triangle here. I'll put this up here so we can see it. And if you plan to do something inside of another volume, make sure you start off with a decent size. Just keep in mind that volumes going inside another volume should be smaller than that. So I'm going to start with a triangle. And we'll do the, I know I'm going to make this short, so I'm going to still connect the angles to the vanishing point, but I'm going to go about halfway here. Okay, this is a really great technique. Hopefully you guys are still paying attention here. Okay, what that allows me to do is not really have to erase all the time, like every time to the vanishing point. So if you know you want to make this medium, which I do, let's say cut it off right here. Remember triangles, we want to go really concentrate on those parallel lines. Just as parallel, if not more tilted in, will look natural. So even that, I'll do that. See how I kind of pinched in a little bit more? It actually looks more natural. Try not to go out. Everybody always goes a little outwards. They're scared to pinch in. Okay? And so that way you see my guiding lines, like I don't have that much to erase. Still connected to the vanishing point though, okay? Hopefully you guys got that. It'll help you on your final. All right, so hollow, inside parallel lines. Okay, do we have any edges here? Nope, no edges go through the face. So you can do a form like we're sitting right on the inside and then connect to the vanishing point. It always looks better if it's like kind of out in front. So usually I like to overlap the bottom edge here or even go a little bit further out. Let's just say kind of overlap this part just so I show you guys what you might need to erase here. Okay. So this is going to be in front, so we can already see we want to erase here. And we got our circle. I got to move this out of the way. And even though this seems separate, we still have to line up to the vanishing point. Everything goes back to that one vanishing point. I know it's annoying, but okay, so we're going to draw right to the edge. We're going to stop right there. And what I like to do is continue right out of the back. Okay. Let's do that here. So that shows that, you know, the cylinder is really going through. A lot of people just kind of stop right there sometimes. Have it show through. Like give the viewer something to really complete. And you can see Okay, if you draw to the vanishing point, it'll be true. And let's just say we'll cut off here. So I'm gonna go about the same curve here. It's a little flattish. Remember to curve right into those sidelines there. Actually, you guys can get away with a really round curve. It's kind of flattened here in the front, but it's better to go more curved than flat. I can't repeat that enough. All right, I'll darken these up. Now I just need to erase where this overlaps the triangle, because that cylinder goes in front right there. Okay, now we should see it. There's a little part of the triangle right in here. Make sure you can get that too. Okay, looks pretty cool, hopefully. Let's try it with a circle. Okay, let's do this one here. So I'll do reverse. Let's do an oval. Nice light lines. Give yourself a few rotations. And then I'll make it look so easy. It's lots of practice, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, I had a life drawing class, and my teacher in college would always have us draw 100 circles before we even started doing anything. It was like our warm-up. Like if we stretched for PE, that's what we would do, just draw those circles. Am I sick of them? No, I still like doing it. All right, so line those up. Let's cut this off fairly short-ish, like medium. And keep that same curve, flow right into that line. Just even if you do like a little curve right there in the corner, it's better than a little angle. All right, we'll darken it up once we see our form. Kind of detach there a little bit. It's okay if you guys have some lines in there. These are just sketches, not meant for super awesome presentation. Now for hollow, we are going to draw that inside parallel line. We don't have a ruler here to help us out with those curves, so start off light first. That's the best advice I can give you. Start off light until you get it. And then keep on overlapping until you get a little bit darker and some more elongated lines there. All right. Now we're going to put a triangle going through, and we got this angle going on. So it's okay if we have the triangle kind of off to the side here. If we did a triangle over here, you'd see it's not going to fit through. Okay. But if we kind of did it off to the left, just the angle we're going on, can do it. So maybe the best way to do it, make sure, maybe line up your ruler and make sure it's gonna go inside of this, and then you can kind of like plot a point, like that's your edge. Anyways, we're gonna go thin, okay? Not even gonna touch the edge of that right now. And actually I'll change the curve of that just a little bit more so I can see that other side. And line up the points. Okay, we're gonna overlap the front lip, but stop at that top lip and continue out of the back. Okay, we got one there. Same thing, top point, overlap the bottom lip, stop at the top, continue out of the back. And then we'll get this last angle here. Overlap the bottom lip, stop at the top. Make sure you got the inside parallel line in there. Shows thickness. Okay. And then you can see where the cylinder overlaps the triangle. We want the triangle to go in front. Okay. It's not translucent. So wherever the cylinder overlaps triangle, we erase it. Then you'll really get. That's why we want to keep our lines light, so those erasing marks go away really easy. All right. And let's just have this one go all the way to the vanishing point. Let's forget about cutting that one off, just to save some time, and it looks pretty cool. Okay. All right, we're almost there. We're at 20 minutes here, kind of a longer one here. Let's do one more. We're gonna do a rectangle, and we are gonna cut out the bottom instead of the front, like we did for our hollow. All right. Let's line up these to the vanishing point, nice light lines. Okay, let's take a look at that really quick if you guys can see it off to the side. So, and let's cut it off right about here. Just gotta lighten that up. So same rules apply. If I want to make the bottom hollow, guess what I do? I do an inside parallel line. And maybe I'll do this one a little bit thicker, okay? So I'm gonna follow this line. I'll follow this one. I'm gonna follow this. All right. Cool. Maybe that's the easy part. Hard part is figuring out, you know, how to draw the inside. So we got to imagine this as maybe looking at a door frame looking down, like we're floating above it, or a really thin box or something, okay? So just keep in mind parallel too. So we have these edges, side edges, and we have these corners. And right here, we're probably going to see something happening here. And we also have to look at the thickness of this, because we're going to see through this. So let's just say right here is yay thick. Okay. And it looks like we're getting somewhere, but it still looks off. That's because these corners here go straight up. They're parallel to these. Okay. And then once you have those and that same thickness, if not smaller, because really it gets smaller as you recede into the distance, these ones just run parallel from this little corner right here, run parallel to your side edges. Okay. And if it seems weird drawing it from this perspective, turn your paper and maybe you'll see that a little bit differently and make you help understand what you're looking at a little bit differently. Okay. And that's how we do that. Okay. So again, perspective. This one's the bottoms cut out. This one's the sides cut out, but really cool stuff. And you know, if you really are understanding perspective, you guys can have stuff floating through. I'm just going to do that really quick just to kind of end this tutorial. Maybe blow your minds a little bit, which would be kind of cool. And let's see, we're just going to run. Let's do a oval. Let's say we have an oval cutting through here. Let's overlap this. And let's even overlap this guy here too. Show you a little tidbit of overlap. Okay. And still connect to the vanishing point. Now I can't go too far because it's trapped inside this window. Let's see. And then I'm going to go stop right there because it doesn't overlap that. And show it where it overlaps this window. Follow the same curve. You guys don't have to do this. I'm just trying to be cool. That's what I'm trying to be cool. Okay. Now for you guys, it looks like a bunch of lines. Okay. But I want this oval to overlap here. So I'm going to erase these lines. There. Now you see it a little bit better. And then for this one, I try to figure out, okay, do I want this oval to go behind the bean or in front of the bean? Let's go in front of the bean. So I'm going to erase the bean's lines where they intersect. I got this really cool shape inside of this window here. If I look at it from this perspective, it might look a little bit different. Just thought I'd do that for you guys. All right, hope you guys like that one. Again, just as long as you guys copy everything here and follow along, and rewind and make sure you got all the lines in here. Hopefully you guys should be able to do that, and turn that in, and you'll get full credit for part 1.